Alright, so I'm going to take you through this process of creating this Photopea challenge. This is just an introductory activity so you can figure out how to use Photopea. The instructions, I have a window open just showing the instructions for this assignment. Oops, sorry. I'm going to just zoom into it if I could. Oh, it's not letting me. Hold on a second. Let's do it like this. Okay, cool. So that way you can read it a little bit better. So if you need a refresher of watching the video, you can watch this. This isn't the video you're going to watch. I'm going to email this video to you. But this is just a Photopea tutorial, general tutorial. But anyway, you're going to open up a new page, and here's the size of the page. So I'm going to slide this over. So when you first open up Photopea, you're opening up a new project. This is how you make a new page. The size is located over here. You have a choice. You can either set it up with pixels or you can set it up with inches. I'm just going to use pixels. Width, 2400. Height, 3000. Sorry. And then for the DPI, I'm going to make it 300. I'm just following along on the side here. Okay. And then I hit create. There we go. So there's my page. I just went to command and minus just to shrink it up a little bit. Then I'm going to add a new layer. This folded page right here, that is how you make a new layer. You click on it, there's your new layer. You don't want to draw directly on the background. We're drawing on a separate layer. And we're going to draw on that layer. We're going to make a flower, bug, or robot. So I'm going to use the brush tool right here. You can pick your colors right here. Right now I'll be painting on with white, but you could pick whatever color you want. Whatever you want to end up drawing. I'm going to draw a very, very quick image of a flower. Now I'm going to use black lines, and to change the size quickly, if you look down at your keyboard, there's brackets to the right of the letter P, and if you hit the bracket to the right, it makes it bigger. Bracket to the left makes it smaller. You can also make sure your hardness is set to 100% so it doesn't make fuzzy lines. So I'm literally just going to make a flower very quickly. Now I just happen to be using black lines to make this picture, so if I wanted to use the paint bucket and fill them in, I can. Or if I'm going to switch the color, or if I just want to color it in, I can color it in. But if I decide to use the paint bucket, it shares a button with the gradient, and I can just click on those spaces. And again, I'm drawing everything on this layer 1. To change the color, I'm going to click on the square, drag across the rainbow. Let's say I want a green. And again, I can either use the paint bucket, or if I just wanted to brush the color in, I can just use the brush and I can brush the color in. Whatever you decide to do. Okay, so that's done. Then it says add another layer. Number 4, we're going to add another layer and use the gradient tool to put a gradient on the new layer. Now the gradient shares a button with the paint bucket, so if I hold down the click, I can get to the gradient, and I'm on layer 2 on a blank layer. Here are my colors, and it's dictated by the colors here. If I want to change it, I can click on that bar. I can click on the square underneath, and I can pick a different color scheme. This should be similar to Pixlr. Okay, so there's my new gradient. Say OK. And I can drag up, down, across, skinny lines, fat lines, and you can see how it changes the whole gradient. Now you might notice the biggest problem is that the gradient is now covering up the flower, but I can just move that. That's going to be in step number 6, move the gradient underneath like that. I can still go ahead and change the gradient as I want to. And here is my picture. When I start moving it, the next one is I'm going to make a copy of the drawing. So I'm going to make a copy, but before I do, I'm going to go to the Move tool. make sure transform controls is checked so you can get that bounding box. And I'm just making it a little smaller to make room for the other one. You can see it's moving individual, not affecting the gradient. Okay, I'm going to make a copy. So if you go here and you go to Layer, Duplicate Layer, that's how you can do that. You can also go to Command C for copy and Command V to paste it. But there is also another shortcut, and that is the Command button and the letter J. Now, if you're using your Chromebook, you might not have a Command button, so you're using the Control button in place of the Command. So Command J makes a copy. So if I move this over, and I can shrink it down, because it says to put it next to the drawing and make it smaller. Now I'm going to change the color. Here's another shortcut. Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation. There's my shortcut, Command U. So again, it might not say Command U if you're on your Chromebook. It might say Control U. But same thing. I move the hue around, and you can see that my other flower is changing color. So once I change it, I say OK. All right. And then, like I said, if you want to move these, you do that at any time. The last thing you're going to do is you're going to create a title for your work and typing on the page and put a stroke and a gradient overlay on it. So stroke and gradient overlay. So here's the type tool. That's what I'm using. Click on it. Whether or not I just start clicking or if I make a text box. Here's where all my options are. I'm on the type tool. Here are my options. I can change the font. It takes a little while for it to load, but pick a nice thick font if you want. And you can see you got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. So let's do the giant head OT. I'm going to change the size as well. And so there's my style, there's my size. I can also change the color just so you can see it. I'm going to create a text box, and I'm going to click inside that text box, and I start to type. So you can see it's still a little bit small, so I'm going to commit to it. I can use the Move tool. That's an easy way to change the size, and I can drag it bigger. You can see that it's a type layer. So there's my font. If I want to change the font, make sure I'm on the type layer, make sure I'm on the type tool, and if I wanted to change it to a different font, I can do that. But I like the font that I had. Okay. It is then you are going to put a gradient and a stroke on it, gradient overlay and a stroke. These are located in blending options. To get there, you can go to Layer, and where is it? No, hold on. Layer. Oh, Layer Style, Blending Options. So again, Layer, Layer Style, Blending Options. You can also right-click here on this layer, and you can go right to Blending Options. So here are my blending options. If you check stroke, you can see that you do not get any options. So it's not enough to check it. You also have to select it. So click on the word stroke. There's your options. Right now it's a black outline. If I increase the size, you can see it changes. If I wanted to change the color, I can certainly change the color. I change it to red. See it's changing. Change it to blue. Actually, kind of like the black. So like a dark blue. Change the size if you'd like. Okay. Now gradient overlay, again, it's not enough to just check it. You want to select it, so it gives you these options. You have another gradient. So if I click here, I could select my gradient, just like how when I was using it for my background. So I can go with this color, I can go with this color, like that. So there's my gradient. I can change the scale of the gradient to tighten it up or to expand it. I can use the angle to kind of switch the places, or the direction of it. I can offset the X and offset the Y. Okay. But if that's the way I like it, that's the way I like it. So you just want to make sure you have a gradient in the background, 2 of the same image, one's the color changes, and then on the text you want to make sure that you have those effects. If you want to go back to them, you can go to this EFF and double click. So you can always, if you wanted to make any changes, you can certainly make those changes. Okay. So now to save this, as you're working, you're going to go to Save as PSD. That way it will keep all those layers. But when you're ready to submit it, you're going to go to Export as JPEG. Now you can see the height and the width is the same. That's good. 2400, 3000. Hit Save. And it's going to go into your downloads. So if I go to Finder, I go to Downloads, here's my new project right there. So you may want to drag it at some point into your desktop and just put it into your folder. Okay? To submit it, again, it's a JPEG. When you're done, go to File, Export as JPEG, just did it. Put your JPEG in the attached Padlet. Here's your Padlet. And you're going to click right here. You're in the subject line, you're putting your name. Oops. I'm going to upload an image right there. And I had it on my desktop. You might want to check your downloads. Maybe you put it there. Go to New Project. And there it is. You should be able to see it. Okay? And you should have your name, and you hit Publish. And there you go. All right? So hopefully you can get this done. And if you have any questions as time goes on, if you check out this video and you have a question, you can always email it to me. All right, I'm going to send it via email to you right now. Well, it'll take a while for me to get it loaded and such. But, all right, good luck.